Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger, my friends. Today's been a very interesting day in fighting game news. What happens when a classic tag fighting game comes back from the ashes? Maybe you haven't thought about it in a while, and then just all of a sudden there's a big statement, hey, remember me? I'm back. What am I talking about? Well, of course I am talking about legendary SNK tag fighting game Kizuna Encounter. As part of the Evo France Fatal Fury City of the Wolves Top 8, which by the way, other news, Joe is available later today, they announced the next entry in the Neo Geo Premium Selection, bringing back classic SNK titles to the modern day with new features and new coats of paint. And unlike the last and debuting Neo Geo Premium Selection game, which was Fatal Fury Real Bout 2, this you probably don't know as well as Fatal Fury, if frankly at all, to be honest, so let's talk about it. So in this day and age in particular, tag fighting games are all the rage again, and Kizuna Encounter is at the forefront of all things. It's one of the very first tag fighting games. In fact, the very first tag fighting game, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, came out like a mere week and a half before this game did. So they're very much contemporaries, although when you think tag fighting games, Kizuna Encounter, you know, tag fighting is based off of wrestling tag teams, right? Kizuna Encounter is a lot more literal in the interpretations of the mechanics. You have a tag zone right beside your partner, and if you are not in your tag zone, you cannot tag your partner. So like pro wrestling logic of keeping the opponent away from their partner so they can't tag out, that's literally how this game works. I should mention, since it is a surprise announcement today, that the game has a launch discount of 25% off if you want to check it out, but let's talk about the game itself. So if you've never even heard of Kizuna Encounter, don't feel too bad. It's definitely a more obscure title. If you've seen anything ever about the game, it's probably our sword-wielding heroine, Rosa, as she has a pretty cool and unique look that's persisted, at least through fan art and such, throughout the years. The thing is, Kizuna Encounter isn't even the original game, it's actually a sequel. The original game is called Savage Reign, and it's more of a footnote in history, I guess you would say, because Kizuna Encounter added tag mechanics, which was definitely very new for the time. So Kizuna Encounter and Savage Reign are set in the, well, I was going to say far future, it's getting closer now because we're in our 2020s, but in the 90s, the far future of the mid part of the 21st century. Sort of like a cyberpunk dystopia, if you will. Set in Japan City, but it wasn't always called Japan City. Back when things were good, it had a different name. Japan City used to be called Southtown. And yes, that carries a lot of weight. The particulars of how we got there in the future, they're never terribly well explained. It's more of an Easter egg than anything. Like even Fatal Fury Southtown and King of Fighters Southtown aren't even the same Southtown technically. But still, it's fun to know, and it actually matters for one of the characters. Chung Pai-Fu, who just to be real about it, is absolutely an analog for Master Roshi. You might notice he has a very stylish, whippersnapper young look to him, right? Shades, cap, just jean jacket, the whole look. So when he was a younger man, back when it was still Southtown, it's alleged anyways, that he got his hat from someone who was very probably Terry Bogard. Once again, they're just kind of playing fast and loose with just the various SNK versions of the lore, but it's interesting to know. And actually, speaking of the roster, it's a very 90s roster. I mean that in the most loving way, though. Like, guy with armor and boxing gloves, cool old dude with shades, our hero Hayate has a giant boomerang. It's a big eclectic cast of fighting game characters you would expect from the 90s in particular. In this game from Savage Reign, Kim and Rosa are the two brand new characters. And as for the release itself, just like the previous Real Bout Fatal Fury 2 release, we got all the fixings. Obviously the classic game, have achievements, gallery mode, online play with rollback netcode naturally. And all the SNK retro re-releases have had quality rollback netcode, so you don't need to worry there. And of course, a modern practice mode. So here we are in a practice mode, and we got pretty much everything you could hope for. Setting health. Health is very important in this game. We'll go into it in a second. You have hitboxes, inputs, all there. Like, this is what you would want for a retro release in the modern day, and we got it. So that said, let's talk about the game a little bit, because to be frank, for a lot of y'all watching, you might not know the game that well, if at all. This video might be the first time you've ever heard of it, which is perfectly fair. It's an older, more obscure release, but in this new golden age of tag fighters, it's definitely something to know about as at least a historical piece. So one, yes, it's a tag fighter. You have to be in your tag zone to be able to tag at all. So say if I'm over here cornered by the enemy and I'm about to die, I'm going to die. And yes, this is one of those games where whenever the character just dies, that's it. You do not need to beat both of the characters. Only the one character needs to die, and that's game over. So just like in pro wrestling logic, I can keep my opponent away from the tag rope in the corner, and if I can beat him there, I win. They have to actually get to their tag zone to tag out. And you may notice everyone has weapons. So this is a weapon-based fighter. So there's 3 main buttons. You have punch, kick, and weapon attack. And this game also has heavies. These are the lights, I guess you would call them. So if you just hit forward and a button, that'll also change the input. And this also has effectively what we call Gatling commands. So I can go like punch kick or kick punch, and I can basically just kind of chain everything together. And I can also chain the forward held versions as well. So I can go like punch into forward punch, or punch kick forward punch, or punch kick forward kick, and then say punch kick forward kick into weapon attack. And then from there, the forward version of weapon attack. So very easy chain combos. And of course, then you can go into various special moves, which, you know, kind of moves you may have seen before in one form or another. And of course, every fighting game, like everyone's got their own versions of specials. Like there's all sorts of archetypes. Like Rosa is more of like an all-rounder. She's got, you know, the fireball. She's got the uppercut, that kind of stuff. Whereas Paifu is a bit more like, well, obviously like he's a Roshi kind of character, right? But more of the Kung Fu master. He's got a bunch of interesting traits here. They can just kind of like Rekkas and all that. One of the very interesting things about this game compared to some other, especially fighting games of the day, is there's no meter though. It's all based on your health. If your character gets below half health, things change. Like for Paifu here, like his whole appearance, his sprite actually changes. Now he's like a crazy man. So this matters for a lot of reasons. Like for one, like this is how you get your special moves, like your super moves rather. And of course, they're strong and dangerous and all that. And everyone has, you know, specials that vary character to character. Like, it's all unique character to character, as you would expect, right? But certain characters also have moves that only unlock if you're in the danger state. Like Chung's dive kick only works if he's in below half health. And you can see this here in the move set here, while in rage, right? So another thing that he has is he gets double jumps only when he's in half health. So it's a scary spot to be in because once again, if you can't tag out, if you die, you die. So you're heavily encouraged to tag out when you can, but if you don't, then you're a fair bit stronger. And also, being a tag game, being in the danger state also unlocks some fun things. Like there's some universal mechanics. There is hot tags, if you will. If you're at half health, everyone has special moves where you can call in your partner and then use your partner to beat him up. And these can be really strong and good. You want to focus on these. Also, keeping with hot tags, like the tag itself has no attack animation with it, right? If you do like backwards dragon punch and the tag button and you're in dangerous health, then all of a sudden your tags can now like attack and they'll home in on wherever the enemy is. So that's like the hot tag, you know, reaching in for your partner for the last minute and just using the tag to beat up the enemy. Like, I think it's actually really cool and fun. So for these retro re-releases that SNK is pulling off, this is a surprising one. Fatal Fury, like Fatal Fury, okay. Everyone can get behind that because it's an easy sell, right? Now we're digging into some of the weirder stuff. And if we're going into Kizuna Encounter, how deep on the well are we gonna go here? Like, if they did a modern re-release of King of the Monsters and they added like ranked online rollback netcode play for that, count me all the way in. You know, a while back I'd say that wouldn't be a possibility, But now, I don't know, SNK is just sort of getting weird with it, and I'm here for it, to be honest. So yeah, Kizuna Encounter, if nothing else, it's a historical piece of fighting game history, as, along with X-Men vs. Street Fighter, the roots of tag fighting begin here in fighting games. So if you want to see where a lot of this began, even if it's just as a curiosity, maybe check it out. Out now on Steam. Hopefully console soon. The classic game with all the modern fixings, really can't ask for much more than that. And that said, my friends, that is it for the video. So, thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some fighting games.